And this is the pattern piece. We only need one of them, so we're going to cut it out. In the instructions, I give you all the fabric requirements, but really you can do this with scraps. So I have a 5" by 5" square here, and I really love this fabric. Love it so much. So basically, this is going to be A1. So what I like to do is fold back the A2. So I know exactly where I am placing this. And with this, it needs to be right sides up, and then whatever the colour next is, so it's a light pink, and get a piece of my light pink. Now, one of the important things about foundation paper piecing is the fact that you need to be able to cover all of this A2, as well as this part here, which is the seam allowance. So this is our line that we're going to be sewing on. I'm just going to turn that back around, because you're going to place this one right sides up, this one facing down, and then you're going to sew right along this line here. I use a Baby Lock Soprano. I'm not paid nor sponsored to create this video. I will use a regular white polyester thread in the top of my thread. I'll also use a 9014 sewing needle in my sewing machine, and I will change this over just a regular foot with the black bick on the side, and then also I have white bobbin thread in my bobbin. So I like to just choose a simple straight stitch. I generally go with number 3, and then I take these stitches right down to a 1.6, just because we're sewing a really small line. So I'm going to go ahead now and sew right along that line. I do like to back stitch and then go forward and then back stitch again. As you can see, this is my stitched line right along here, and then what you have to do now is just fold it back, and then you're just going to cut off about 1/4 inch. Could do this with a rotary cutter or a pair of scissors. Once that is done, you're going to turn a section around, and like always, we're going to make sure that these threads are cut off. We don't want it to look messy. And then you're going to fold this back like so. Now you can either finger press it or you can use a roller. I tend to not go backwards and forwards to my iron because it's kind of annoying. And then we can have a look to see which one's next. And it's this A3 right here. So we're going to bend this over. And we are going to cut 1/4 inch away here. Now this will be better if you do it with a ruler. I have done so many of these miniature quilt blocks now. Once you watch this one, go ahead and go and watch some of my other ones. Some are easier than others, some are more complex. And while you're there, you might as well go and subscribe, because I have over 500 sewing and quilting tutorials right there for you to enjoy. Now this is A3, so what we're going to do now is get a dark pink, and I just need to make sure that it covers that area. You don't want to really skimp out on any of these fabrics, because you'll end up wasting fabric trying to just be a bit stingy on it, because the way that we flip these things around, sometimes you can make a mistake real quick. So I'm going to sew right along this line on A3, and then once it's done, you can once again flip it back. So we now need to find A4, which is over here. So once again, you're going to fold this back around about that line. You're now going to need a ruler. I'm going to need a longer ruler actually, and then put that away. So have you done any of my other mini quilts? Let me know in that comment box down below, and have you been enjoying them? I think it's a great way to do these little miniatures foundation paper piece in. So we've got this A4 here. I'm going to line it all up here, and then I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to sew right down this line. Then once again, you just fold it back and then get this corner done on our miniature quilt block. So we're going to fold back the A5 piece. We're going to cut away the excess that we don't need. And then we're going to line up a dark pink. Just noticed I've done this wrong. I should have done a light pink, but you know what? I might just alternate the colours anyway. Let's see what this little design mistake takes us. Going to put that there. And I'm going to sew the corner of this miniature quilt block right along this line. Then we can flip it back here. So now I need to start on a light pink. We flip this AC back and trim the excess away here. Take some light pink. I'm going to sew right along this A6. Then I'm going to go ahead and push it back. Flip it over. Get a dark pink. And before we do that, we need to trim. And then we can get a dark pink. I've sewed it. Oh, I've cut away the threads. And I push it back. And then now I'm going to start with a dark pink. Flip back. Get everything all cut. Get some dark pink. Sew into place. Push back. Turn around once again. Flip that A9 section back, and we are going to trim and a light pink. Sew across this last corner of our mini quilt. You're left with something that looks like this. You're going to turn it around. You're going to make sure that everything's open and nothing's flipped over, and you're going to take your ruler and you're going to trim the outside of excess of fabric. To do that all the way around your mini quilt block. And now you have something that looks like this. It actually looks quite nice, some alternating quilt blocks. So the next thing we need to do is we're going to take out the papers. So you should be able just to fold the perforation where the sewing line was and take that paper out from your mini quilt block, because we don't need that anymore. Now that that paper is removed, take your mini quilt block over to your iron and press. Just be careful not to warp any of the fabric. You're just pressing, you're not stretching in any way. I'm going to do my side borders first. Once the side borders are sewn on your miniature quilt block, you can go over to your iron and press them open. And now you can go ahead and put your top and bottom borders on. Now what you're going to do, push that open and press top and bottom. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our backing section and our batting. So you're going to put the backing behind the batting, and you're going to place your miniature quilt top on top of that. Now I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine and I am going to do some decorative stitching. On my soprano, I'm going to be using this stitch here. With decorative stitches, all your real job is to keep that needle, that position of that foot in the center of your seam. Look how amazing this is. If you haven't liked my video yet, I think you should do right now, because this is really, really pretty. So anyway, we are going to cut away all the excess around the border. When it comes to doing a bind on these little miniature quilts, I would advise against doing anything wider than a 2-inch. So basically you're going to get your bind in and you're going to fold it just like this, and you're going to press it at the iron. Now you're going to leave a little bit of an overhang, and you are going to just sew right at this very corner all the way to the end. Once you have done that, you're going to lift this section up and you're going to fold it back on itself, and then you're going to take it back over to your sewing machine and sew all the way down. Then once again you are going to lift this up and fold it back on itself and sew all the way down. Flip it up, fold it back on itself and sew all the way down. Now we're coming to the last corner. Again, flip it up and fold it back down. Now we're not going to sew all the way to the end. Once again, we're just going to sew kind of where this border starts and stops. I have this tool that I really like to use. I'll put the information down in that description box down below. It will be an Amazon link, and if you decide to purchase from that link, I may get a small commission at no charge to you. I'm going to cut this a little bit over halfway, like so. Now I'm going to place this on the top here, and then where it says 2, I'm going to fold this over and I'm going to fold it back on itself, so it's right at that 2 inches, and I'm going to cut that away. Now the one that's on top is going to go up and down. The one that comes from the right is going to go from right to left, and we're going to put these right sides together like so. Now you're going to need some wonder clips for this part. Another thing that you're going to want to do is fold the whole thing in half. I don't know why it is, but I find it easier to work from the back. So you're going to lay that down and you're going to ease it out. And what we're trying to achieve here is we want to do a straight line from this corner all the way to this other corner here. So I'm going to straighten this out, and I'm going to need to have a pen or a pencil. I'm going to get a ruler, just going to use a regular ruler here, and I'm going to draw a line going straight across them 2 sections. Just watch that you don't move anything. I know it's fiddly, but I swear there's a lot more other things that are more fiddly and sewing than this. It's a pretty bad line. Go over to your sewing machine and sew that into place. Once that's sewn into place, you can go ahead and trim off the excess. And then when you open it up, it's going to lie perfectly flat against that miniature quilt block. So you're going to take this over to the sewing machine and you're going to sew this into place. I find these pieces so great to practice on, and if you can manage doing this kind of binding, then the larger binding is going to be a walk in the park. So you're going to flip this back to the back of our mini quilt. Now you're going to go ahead and hand bind to the back. This is how it looks. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I have over 500 videos. Like, comment, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.